So here we are again. Hi, hello everyone, and welcome again to another Saturday live stream. I'm Oliver. I always say hello everyone around the world. A Microbehunter here. I'm going to skip the lengthy greetings over the globe that I usually do every week. But just to jump directly to the point, I want to show you how I'm making some drawings today. Not only I'll do, of course, also a little bit of microscopy. And yeah, I just want to share with you some of the few things that I've been experimenting around over the last a few days. You probably have already noticed that last week, unfortunately, I was not able to do a live stream. But well, here we are again, and I'm back again. Yes, again, hello all over the world. I hope that you're able to hear me properly because occasionally I do have some technical issues, but I think maybe not today. And I would like to basically show you for a couple of minutes only some of the things that I've been experimenting around with. And I'm going to start off with a little bit of history. Some months ago, I already showed you this book here. So basically, back in the day, what, over 20 years ago, back in 1998, yeah, so almost 30 years ago, I started, when I started off with microscopy, I actually started to make drawings, of the various objects that I found. You see over here, 1998. We'll be looking at this one over here in more detail. Some of you might already know what this is. So a variety of things. And I basically thought, well, actually it would be kind of nice to pick up a drawing again. It says your unidentified structure. It's a trichome, a plant here. At that time, I did not know what it is. Yeah. Okay, sound is good, I hear. Okay. So that's, basically guard cells of stomata, some diatoms. Yeah, this one is maybe not so good. It's an insect wing that I tried to draw. There seems to be some kind of a pollen grain. I don't know what that is. I found this also in a jar of water. I have no idea what this is. It was quite interesting. I was able to see those structures here. And yeah, some starch grains. And here I did not quite finish that. Plant stem cross section. Yeah, of course, a rotifer. Some drawings are quite okay, others not so. Yeah, some spores of a fungus. Yeah, some onion cells, obviously. So I practiced drawing a little bit here, and that's pretty much it, right? Yeah, almost 30 years later, I decided, well, why not pick up the activity again, and I wanted to try to draw a few things, and I actually tried to draw the trichome, which I did not identify, and I just want to show you how I've done that, because it's the technique is called stippling. It's basically drawing with dots. Okay, I just want to show you how I've done that. That's the first one. I finished that one yesterday, and then so that's what I used as a how do you say, the photograph. And I'm also going to show you then the original under the microscope, of course, of two different focal, basically focused differently so that the different parts here are in focus and out of focus so that get a better overview. And this is how, then I also tried to draw it with pencil. I was not happy with the result, and then I found it actually to be also more difficult. Yeah, and then the diatom. I'm going to talk about that later, right? So first of all, I'm going to show you this, the original here, and this kind of also illustrates then a little bit of why I think that drawing is actually kind of still quite useful. And I need to just show you now the original. So I have to find just a second. Oh yeah, I'm going to go bright field. So this is actually a permanent slide from back in the day that I made a long time ago. And I have to find it now. Okay. Lots of dust. So that's basically house dust that I wanted to observe. Yeah, so, and here we go. And maybe you can already see it over here, right in the middle, right? This is the plant trichome. So it's plant here. Okay, let's do it like this a little bit. Let's adjust it. And this is, again, something that I saw back almost 30 years ago on this, of course, very same slide. And I tried to directly draw it from under the microscope. right? And what you can actually see here is that there's lots of other stuff also around. There's a dust fiber going all across it, and there's some other junk in here. So the point of drawing something actually is to simplify everything a little bit, and to remove all of those things that don't belong in there. So, and I'm basically back in 1998, I made this drawing. And now, when a few days ago, when I started to, I decided, okay, I'm going to try drawing again. I want to show you something, how I've done that, because I did cheat a little bit, I have to tell you. I have done the following. I've taken a photograph, this photograph over here, printed it out, right? So it's fairly straightforward. You see all of the junk here. Black, white is perfectly fine. And then I've done the following. I bought myself a so-called a light pad. Looks like this. It's basically a very thin plastic thing here. And I can connect it to a USB cable here on the side. So I'll do that now as well here. It goes in here to the side. If I can only find it. Here it is. Okay, here we go. And then I can turn it on. There are 3 intensity levels, 2 and 3. And so that's basically how it looks like. Yeah, this basically seems to be some LED light pad. And obviously what you do is go make it a little bit bigger. Don't worry, I'm not going to trace out everything. But then I simply took a blank sheet of paper and I placed it over it, and then I traced it with a pencil. And this took me not longer than about 5 minutes. It's a fairly thick paper. I don't know if you're able to see it, but yeah, you have to turn the lights off, and then actually I simply traced it, and then I started drawing in dots. Okay, and that's basically it. Right, so I finished this one, I don't know, in 5 minutes or so. I traced everything out with pencil, right? Yeah, that's why I don't see it. I accidentally got 2 sheets of paper here. Okay, so this is basically how it looks like, right? And then, I'm going to put this away again because I don't need it. So I'm going to unplug it again. And then I started to draw in the dots using a fine marker. And I have to tell you, this takes a lot of patience, right? So I just used those very fine markers, and maybe you can already see the problem here. Is I was already doing this so often that the tip started to kind of go apart here. So that's something I did not expect to happen. So the pen is fairly new, but the tip was already stressed out because I was pushing down so often. And what you do is or what I have done rather is I simply then shade it in everything using dots. And that's basically where we are right now. And to my surprise a little bit, it looks even better than I don't know, trying it with pencil. It's easier. It's way more error tolerant. So in other words, if you make a small mistake, if you misplace a dot, it really don't see it, the mistake, right? But if you, so this is actually really nice because it kind of looks nice. And the disadvantage is it takes ages, okay? So, and I just want to show you now the second example here. And then I'm going to, if you please feel free and post questions and comments in the chat, okay? Later on in a few minutes, I will have a look at those questions. And over here, this here is another one. It's a diatom. Yeah. So was not able to identify it yet. And then I traced it out with pencil, and then I tried the cheaper and the easier way. I said, okay, why make all of the dots? Let's just draw lines, and it didn't look very nice, right? So if you have a shaky hand or so, then you see that it's not perfectly smooth, right? So in that sense, I found actually tracing it out with the pen actually more difficult than actually doing the dots. It's faster, but it's a little bit more difficult. And I'm not quite finished yet, but this is how it looks like, okay? And basically, all you do is you take the pen. I'm not going to use this one anymore because look, it's damaged. Yeah, so I take a fresh one, and then all you do is you kind of place in dots randomly in here, and the darker it should be, the more dots you place. So what I usually do is I work layer by layer. So I shade it in lightly first, and then I add another layer of dots to make everything a little bit darker. I've seen, of course, I watched a few YouTube videos, and I've seen that some people are actually really placing each dot very deliberately, and they're actually getting photorealistic pictures this way. I know what the so-called elephant in the room is. You're all saying, yeah, it's all very nice, but why? What's the whole point? Don't worry, I shall answer. Okay, I'm not gonna do that now. It would take too long, but I think you get the idea. Yeah. So so they basically, yeah, I'm reading the comments here. So I like this method. And now to the elephant in the room. Why am I doing this? Because I want to actually make a simple identification guide. I'm currently working on a book, and I want to include also a couple of illustrations. And this is also one of the reasons why I said is okay. I would like to experiment with this technique a little bit. Yeah, and to my surprise, considering that this is actually just started 2 days ago with that, I'm kind of surprised that this actually works that easily. So I'm sure there's lots of things to practice still, and I've improved already over a couple of hours. But it seems to be if you have the time, a pretty good technique to actually get decent images, right? So this is the thing, because if you make a book or so, like I want to do, I want to have the images all of the same style, and it simply looks nicer this way. Yeah, and it's also a skill that I learned. Yeah, so that's a little bit the reason. And this year I tried it like this, and I says nah. However, one possibility is I could actually scan it in, and then using I could vectorize it and on the computer as well. Yeah. So yeah. Somebody just joined in. I just joined in and maybe missed it. But how did you get the first drawing from the microscope to paper? Well, the first thing that is the following. You've got an image. Where is it? Yeah, an image like this, right? What I've done is I used a light pad. This is or light box or light pad. It looks like this. Oh, not a green screen. Yeah, I'll show it to you here. Yeah, with a USB connection over here, and it makes a light, and then I basically put some paper over it, and I traced it out using pencil, and then I added the dots. Yeah, so pretty straightforward. So that's a trichome, and this one over here again, I find it actually tracing it out. It does not even look as nice as, maybe because I'm not practiced, but I find the dots easier. Okay, so yeah, so this is actually quite a straightforward method, and maybe I'm going to explore this a little bit more. And that's pretty much it that I wanted to show you concerning the drawings. Okay, because I'm not gonna start completing this now. That would definitely take a little too much time as well. And here it's the trichome again. Yeah. And I've seen actually just a few minutes before I started this YouTube live stream, I've seen actually on YouTube that there are actually even pens out there with a battery that are actually drawing the dots automatically. So it kind of the ink, the center of the pen moves in and out, so that you just have to hold it and it's making the dots automatically. Even that works. Yeah. So just wanted to share this with you as a little also a suggestion for you to try this if you want to. But in any case, I would like to learn this a little bit as well. I'm going to now read through a couple of the comments here. Yeah, so that's with a polarizer. I've already prepared something here as well. Thank you for the comment. Okay. Polarizer, I will do this in a minute or so. Phytolith. I don't know. What's that? Maybe, was this I don't know if this the... phytolith is, I don't know, are you referring to this one over here? I'm now looking again in the book. Yeah, this one over here. Yeah, it was swimming on the surface of the water. I have no idea what it is. I still don't know what it is. Yeah, but it looked, there were quite a lot of those. Many of them, so it must have reproduced somehow. Yeah. Must have grown in the container due to the abundance. So when did I make this? Yeah, in August 1998. Yeah. So just wanted to share this with you as well. So there is a high-pitched noise at the edge of human hearing coming from your end, kicks in whenever you stop speaking. Really? Okay, that's interesting. There is actually no sound. Yeah, I don't know if anyone can confirm this, if there's some kind of an audio issue, but I don't have anything actually here next to me that should actually cause that high-pitched sound. I wonder if it's some kind of a static noise. Yeah. Hi, how about idea biology course for amateurs? I've been thinking about this. I would love to hear your lessons about biology, some basics, and maybe some more interesting facts, including microscopy. I've made online courses, videos for my students, basically as review and revision material based on the syllabus. Might be a little bit too dry. I have been thinking about biology courses, but I'm for adults, obviously, not just for amateurs, but generally I want to do biology courses for adults. I've been thinking, but I don't know exactly yet how I would approach that, because simply redoing that what I teach in school is maybe a little bit too dry. Having said that, I will, before I move on with microscopy, I will tell you I will use this question as a starting point. You see, I'm a biology teacher, right? Many of you know that for 26 years now. And I have I think it's a pity that many biology syllabi, including the ones that I'm teaching, is it's very, very theoretical, right? Cell division and genetics and all of these things, and also anatomy. But very often these things, even their biochemistry, obviously, right? But many of these things that I'm explaining, there is not always a very interesting microscopical or connection to it. So I'm not able to show all of the processes using microscopes. That's a little bit of a pity. And I would like to actually have a biology course where many of the things not that can be also demonstrated not only using microscopes but also by other hands-on things. And that's essentially where it's becoming a little bit difficult, right? So I'm still thinking about this. Yeah. Yeah, dot drawings are often used in other forms of graphical documentation, like in archaeology. Okay, so Microsterias actually are algae, and they do look different. I mean, these were not algae because they were not green. Microsterias are actually little stars. That's what it's actually called, but these are actually green algae, but these were actually not green. Okay, no audio problem here. Did you did you try to make drawings with AI? Maybe I was actually thinking about this, making drawings with AI, maybe scanning in something and then asking it maybe to make the dot pattern myself. Yeah, but yeah, didn't try that yet. Okay, so what I would like to do now is the following. These are pineapple. I want to show you the suggestion with the polarizing filter, and I just want to show this to you. And I've just 3 minutes before the start of this live stream, I've quickly grown some vitamin C crystals here. So almost completely dry. The suggestion was the following: if you've got a linear polarizing filter like I've got, if you put some protective sticky tape. However, I've got also some polarizing filters over here, and they have this protective tape on it, right? You can try this as well with this on, or you can take some cellulose tape or adhesive tape, put it on here, and then put the crystals on top, and put another polarizer. I'm going to turn the light off here, over here, and I'm just going to show this to you under the stereo microscope, because what happens is that this plastic film that you've got actually also does something. It changes the polarization around and it adds colors. Now, what I just read is that this actually also is able to add colors to like, for example, salt crystals, which are colorless. I did not try that yet, so I just have the vitamin C over here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to switch over to the stereo view, and I'm going to put this on here. Okay, and over here the vitamin C goes on top. Okay, you see that it's not very colorful yet. And then I place the other filter over it. And of course, by turning it, you can get all sorts of beautiful colors. Okay. But you can see over here that, maybe I'm gonna overlap it a little bit over here like this. You can actually see that the tape, okay, over here, this is where it looks so bluish, that's where the tape is, and over here on the side, it is no tape. You can actually see that with the tape, you can also change the colors around, also the background color. And so this is another level of, of modifying the appearance of the crystals a little bit. Yeah. And not only that, I'm just going to show it to you now without the vitamin C at all. You just put it directly over here, and if you rotate this, and you can also see that the tape, now the exposure of the camera adjusts itself. And if you put another tape across it, okay, then you can see that then you can change the colors yet more. Yeah, so I need to go to the stereo view. You see where the tape is overlapping. I found I found out that this does not always work with all plastic foils, and I think the reason is because when the tape was made, manufactured was kind of stretched, so the plastic fibers seem to be arranged also in parallel, and this kind of influences the polarization, right? But I think that's a nice suggestion, and thank you for the suggestion in the comments to actually add more colors, yeah, to the crystals here. You get a nice blue background over here. Yeah. So there is plenty, plenty of possibilities to experiment. Okay. Yeah, I'm reading some. If I don't immediately answer the comments, I will try to do this then later, because to some of the comments I need a little bit more time. Yeah. But this is something that, I would also like to, to show you. And thank you again for the recommendation of trying this actually also with a plastic film. There is sometimes what you can also try is you can buy so-called lambda quarter plates. These are basically, they look like this, exactly like polarizing filters, but basically they are shifting the wavelength by the quarter of a wavelength, and they're making circular polarizing light out of that. Yeah, yeah. So that is something, and again, it looks actually much nicer when looking directly through the microscope, because my camera actually is adjusting the exposure automatically, and unfortunately, this camera does not allow me to manually adjust everything. Yeah, yeah. So this is kind of thank you very much. I just wanted to also share this to you based on a recommendation from one of the viewers, and I want to now move on, because I'm going to try to prepare this here, because just in the afternoon today I ate a pineapple, and I want to put this under the microscope, and I want to show you now a crazy new method on how to do that. And in order to do that, I organized myself something like a razor. Okay, the blade is fresh, and look what you can do. And oh yeah, I explained this to you over here. This one allows me to adjust the. I'm going to be careful that I don't cut myself. Yeah. So basically, when I have it set at one, then it's a very how do you say? It cuts very makes very thin cuts, and if you go higher over here, then it makes very thick cuts. Okay, so this is actually something that I can also try to use now, and to do the following. Yeah, you can actually try to do this. You see, it kind of shaves off quite a bit, and they all end up in here. What you do next is you take the whole thing out here. Yeah, but be careful of the blade. I need a little bit of some water, so I'm going to get myself a little Petri dish, and I forgot one, so just a second. Here we go. And those things need to be obviously suspended in a little bit of water because and then let's see how well this actually works. Yeah, so all of this, look at this. Okay. This is actually, I was a little bit surprised myself that this actually worked that well. Let's see, here is some more stuff. Yeah. So this is, yeah, it goes in here. And this one goes directly on top here. And yeah, so. So, and this is actually, yeah. Let's have a look how if this technique actually is suitable or not. I need a pipette again. Here's a little bit of water. I can take this water from here. And I hope that they're thin enough. And I'm going to grab one of those here. Goes on top here. Yeah, and a cover glass that goes on top. This is actually, if this actually works, then this is the cheapest and easiest microtome. But you see maybe that it's not quite as thin as I hoped it to be. I don't know, can it? Does this focus? Yeah. I might have to add a little bit more water. Yeah, by the way, you probably have already noticed also a little change in format because now I removed the background here and I made myself a little bit bigger. So I am experimenting around as well. Okay, let's try another one here. Okay, so this is basically now a pineapple leaf in cross section, and let's put it under the microscope and we're going to see if this actually is usable or not. So I need to go here. And here we go. Okay. If you actually look at the whole thing here, we can actually see that the individual cells are visible. And this actually means that it is at least sufficiently thin, yeah, that we're able to see the individual cells. Let's go up with the magnification here. And normally what I do is to assess the quality here is I use the fine focus knob, and I will basically look at one of those cells and I just will continue to focus. And I want to see if it goes out of focus and if another cell layer actually goes into focus. And if this happens, you see it's blurry. It's basically one cell layer. You can see that there's a certain thickness to it. Here, still the same cell, and then it's kind of going out of focus. But you see, if there were several cell layers, then they would kind of overlap. Yeah, but this doesn't happen. So this actually shows that either the cells are pretty long, or I was actually cutting them thin enough that I'm on a cellular level. And this actually means that the technique is good enough. Yeah. So yeah, this is actually, I was myself a little bit surprised that it actually went that well. Yeah. So you just basically take the razor and then you just shave off a couple of layers, and then here we are. And thinking about this, you know what? I've not tried this. You know what? I still have so many of those left. I'm gonna try to stain them. Just a second. So, which one should I use? I think Löffler's methylene blue usually used to work quite nicely. So I'm gonna take this one here. Let's grab one. Usually, maybe one that looks quite transparent. If it's transparent, then this means it's fairly thin. If you're still sticking together, I could actually also stain it directly on a slide. Maybe a bit more. Okay. At least some flower stems that I stained, they looked kind of nice. So let's have a look if this also works. And up. So I'm just reading. I tried the same technique on plant stems, but I failed. Around 10 to 20 cells thick. There are some of these razors which allow you to actually, where you can indeed adjust the thickness of the cut. So let's try this here. I don't know if this actually was meaningful or not. So, look. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Look, it's very... So let's have a look. Again, for those of you who are new to the format, maybe there are a couple of new viewers as well. These live streams are really very unprepared. So this means sometimes I have not tried out the things that I show you, right? So sometimes it's even a little bit of a surprise for myself. So I don't know how nice this looks like. Okay, so we're gonna have a look. Yeah, here it is. It's the little old one, so from before, and let's have a look if this actually... Some parts are stained better than others. Yeah. Actually, what I wanted to show you, but maybe that is actually a good demonstration here. What I actually was hoping for, that some of the cells actually would stain completely blue. That would mean actually that they're still intact. But here we can actually see that this one over here, there seem to be now 2 cell layers. Yeah, if you now look carefully as a focus, you can see that this is 1 cell layer, and then this goes out of focus, and then another cell layer goes into focus. So it is actually 1, 2 or maybe even 3 cell layers thick. Okay. Yeah. So this is basically, yeah, still okay. What I want to do is the following now is I've deliberately cut the pineapple from this white part here where there is very little chlorophyll. So it's very transparent. I'm now going to try to cut some of it from the green part here, okay? Hoping that we'll be able to see something slightly different. But, just a second. But it could be that maybe it is too dark. I don't know, okay? So what I need to do is I'm using this here as a, again, another razor blade. Let's cut it like this first. Okay, and this one is also something I did not try yet. Okay, so we're gonna have a look if this actually works or not. And let's see. I'm also pressing this down here so that the cap doesn't go off. Yeah, shaving off. Yeah, it's more than enough. So, okay, here it is. I don't know, I'll just put everything in here. Because when you see them next to each other, you see that some of them are more transparent than others, and you of course want to choose those that are more transparent because they are thinner. So always be careful with the razor blade, otherwise you're really going to hurt yourself. Also talking from experience here. Up. And this goes on top here. Yeah, so let's put it away, and I'm going to take another slide. You know what? No, I'm just going to use the slide that I have over here. Why not? And which one am I going to choose? I don't know. This one looks okay. Okay. And when you do that, obviously the pineapple leaves are very, very nice because they're extremely thick, obviously, and very, very solid, right? Obviously, not it won't work with everything. So, and let's have another look. Yeah. Right, it could be thinner, but we're gonna see. Let's start the lower magnification. And I need to switch over to the microscope view again. Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Very nice. You can see the different... So... Ah, yeah, we can actually see the chloroplasts. That's good. Those green dots are chloroplasts. See that over here? There's one side. It's not pigmented at all. I suppose that might be... Yeah. So let's have a look. Further, and here we go. So let's have a look at a place where the cells... Yep. And chloroplasts visible. Those green dots are the cell organelles that do photosynthesis. Again, let's check how many layers I have here. There's one cell layer. It goes out of focus. Second cell layer. Third cell layer. Yeah, it's around 3 cell layers thick, assuming that a cell has approximately a diameter of, I don't know, these are pretty big cells. Normally we say around 10 micrometers. But actually they're quite big. They're much bigger than that. Yeah, so I'm actually, yeah. How would I go about making a drawing from these cells with chloroplasts? Yeah, that is actually possible. And here, this is actually an advantage of making drawings. I would do the following. I've got now over here 3 cell layers and overlapping, and I'm therefore losing a little bit of detail because they kind of cover each other, right? So what I would do is I would take a picture of this. I would then go and print out the picture, and then I would only trace out the 1 cell layer, and then I would start filling it in with dots. Yeah, so that is something which is actually not so difficult. Yeah. So you take a picture, or you can take a screenshot, yeah, and or if you don't have a camera, you can of course take a picture using a mobile phone through the eyepiece. You maybe increase the contrast a little bit, and if you then if you see that the contrast is too low, theoretically it would also be possible to directly on the printout to trace over the whole thing with a marker directly on the original printout, and then basically make a trace over from that as well. I'll just illustrate this to you. If, for example, if I show this desk view, if, for example, this is this now has very high contrast, yeah, so it will shine through. But let's say if it's very very soft like this one over here, and I would like to draw this, then I would actually use a marker. I would actually trace it out directly on the paper here, and then I would put the other paper on top using the light box, and then trace over it again. Yeah. So if so this is so over here we are again. Yeah. So that's basically pineapple under the microscope. Let's go a little bit down with the magnification to get a better overview of the... Yep. Are these the... This could be... Yeah. So... Yeah. Some air bubbles. Let's check if... Yeah. And here you see again those cells here don't have chloroplasts, so they're much more transparent and also more easily. You can see them more easily. You can trace using a tablet screen as the light box. I didn't think of that. Of course, if you've got an iPad or a tablet, why so complicated? Of course, you take you take an iPad, yeah, or yeah, a tablet. You just put the sheet on top of it. Yeah. I was thinking too complicated. Yeah. So looks nice. I'm generally yeah, just wanted to share this with you. I'm just generally happy that the razor method actually works with this specimen at least quite nicely. Yeah. So what time is it? What time is it? Yeah. I would like to move on a little bit, and I'm going to now show you again something that I like to return to every now and then, and that is. I want to show you how Spiky is doing, and I would like to show you again a couple of slides. So I'm going to, I now need the stereo microscope again. So, and then I'm going to show you the slide. Let me just change, just a second. Let me change those slides here first. So, and then we'll tell you now why. This one, so I have to find. Interesting. Wrong microscope. Here we go. Yeah, so that's basically yeah, the so-called the carpet beetle larva. That's it molted, and I have to find it somewhere. Where is it? Normally it's somewhere on the side. Over there. Here it is. Yeah, so the carpet beetle larva is doing fine. It's molting every now and then, and sometimes if it wakes up when you shine light on it. And yeah, I've got it since October, and it's doing fine. And where is the arrow? I'm gonna move the arrow away here. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to demonstrate if because I don't know. Sometimes there are new people who've joined the live stream and have not been watching this before. But just want to show you what happens when I need to move the microphone closer here. What actually happens when I touch it here on the back. Come down here a little bit. Here it is. Okay. So let's see if I'm able to do that here. Look, when I touch it, you see, did you just see how those bristles, how it started to, yeah. These are defensive hair. It started to, yeah, brush open those tiny bristles. Yeah, and if you look at them carefully, then you're going to see that they look like tiny little darts or arrows. I'm going to really zoom in now. And you see that at the very tip they're a little bit darker, yeah, and they have, yeah, I cannot zoom in more. Of course, if you lose it out of sight, and those bristles, they easily break off. Those here, now that's nice. Did you just see that? How it fanned them out, right? Yeah, and this is actually something, yeah, that we want to explore a little bit more, because those bristles essentially break off quite easily, those here. And I'm going to now show you something what I found back in the day. Well, I'm going to put a little lid on top here again. Okay. Back in the day, on the very same slide where we had the trichome, I was able to see two of them. And I would like to show them to you. BX. So that is again the house dust slide from before. And we go all the way to the top here. I'm looking for it now. No. And here it is. Look at this here. Yeah, you might barely be able to see it. You might barely. So this is the slide that I made back in the year 1998. I'm going to now show you. Where is it? The arrow. This strange structure over here. Do you see this here? Yeah, with this head over here. Yeah. Let's go up with the magnification yet more. I need to recenter this. Yeah. This one over here, right? I want to show you a second one. I have to find it somewhere over here. I hope I'm able to find it. Here it is. Do you see this? Okay. So zoom in. This one is actually a little bit nicer to see. Yeah. Again, yeah, those little, yeah, thing. And when I saw it the first time, back in 1998, what did I do? I made a drawing. I'm just going to show it to you here again, because we already talked about drawings today. I'm going to show you the drawing here again. Ah, here it is. Do you see this? Yeah. It's an unidentified structure. I put the date over here, the coordinates on the slide, July 98. Yeah. And I did not know what this is, right? Until I posted in a German microscopy forum, I posted a picture, and then somebody actually told me what it is. And indeed, what I've then done, and maybe if you remember a couple of months ago, I've actually made a slide from these here, from the carpet beetle that we've just seen. And now I have to find it again, just a second. It is because there are several of those, and let me quickly check the microscope. We'll have, here we are. Okay, here they are. So that is basically from the carpet beetle, where I made a permanent mount, and here they are. So look how extremely long they are, and they break off easily. And I can imagine that maybe some predators they don't like it if these here basically will disturb them somehow. Yeah. So that is just the thing here, and I was very happy to have basically then identified. Well, I didn't identify it, but I put it when I posted the picture. Then somebody told me, "Yeah, these are the hair of the carpet beetle, right?" And it's a bad sign if you have those carpet beetles at home, because they eat carpets, right? Wool, and they're pests, and they destroy the textile material and so on. And then basically I was very happy that I found it, and then I used these are basically the hair of the carpet beetle that we just saw under the stereo microscope. But then actually something quite interesting happened because I bought myself a slide box from Amazon. I just show it to you, the slide box that I bought. Again, not sponsored or anything, right? I'm just want to show it to you. And so the slide box here, and there was actually one slide, so it contains all sorts of different medium to high quality. Some are pretty good, some are pretty bad. Yeah. So, but they're all usable. And one of the slides are the scales of a butterfly. So let's have a look at the scales of a butterfly. There will be a little surprise here. So let's carefully remove those here. Again, let's have a look at the scales of the butterfly. And where is it again? Here it is. Let's have a look. Where is the scales of here? These are the scales of the butterfly. And what do you notice? What do you notice? Maybe some of you have already seen it. The scales of the butterfly. What do we see? On the scales of the butterfly, again, those hair. So apparently the butterfly was being attacked by those carpet beetles. I don't know. But not surprising, because those carpet beetles actually eat protein, like, for example, hair, wool, right? Fingernails. I've been feeding it some fingernails, and I can imagine that maybe those carpet beetles also feed off the scales of these butterflies. Yeah. So this is actually something that I found quite fascinating, that yeah, you find those. They're called setae, are the hairs or hair of insects. Yeah, you can actually find them quite plentiful here as well. Yeah, preserved in a permanent mount. Yeah. Yeah, so it's quite fascinating. So I do assume that this butterfly was being attacked by those carpet beetles, as they were probably feeding off. Yeah. I'd have to, I don't know, maybe I'd have to find out if they're also made, those scales, probably if they're also made of protein, obviously, those scales, because the carpet beetles, what I researched is they like to eat protein. They do not eat cellulose so much, apparently. They prefer protein. Yeah. So wool, fingernails, hair. That's why carpets are made of sheep wool, for example, and that's why they kind of eat that stuff. Yeah, yeah. Just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, I'm going to now do the following. I'm gonna have a look again at some of your questions here. Yeah. So I find this kind of interesting that kind of the circle closes a little bit. You know, back in 1998, I found those strange structures, didn't know what it is, and then I found a carpet beetle. Yeah, carpet beetles are a nuisance if you have pests. If you have pets. Okay. The scales are made of chitin. Okay, chitin. Thank you for. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing for me. Of course, chitin. It's because that's the material for insects, right? The wool of and fur of animals is made of keratin, not the carrot, not keratin, but keratin written with a K. Yeah, yeah, that's chitin, of course, for insects. Yeah. Do the shed skins show the spines of the hair under the microscope? Basically, I think yes, because if you look at the stereo microscope again, here, this is basically where the shed skin is. I have to find it here. You can actually see that's yeah. You can actually see that there are those here also on it. Yeah, quite a few of those. Yeah, so these are. So when it's shedding its skin, when it's molting, then it's also dropping off those hair. Yeah. I think it has already molted at least 2 times, probably even. I think I've seen. I think 2 or 3 molts already. I think that's three times it has molted. So that's 1, 2, and 3. This seems to be the newest one. Yeah. So every now and then I'm feeding it some fingernails. I'm shaving off some fingernails, and it seems to be doing fine. After all, it's molting, right? So yeah. So where's the? Let me have a look at the. Let's have a more interesting view here. Are they as tough as tardigrades? Don't think so. I mean, they are pretty. I guess they're pretty tough and dry resistant, but tardigrades, they can withstand quite a bit. Yeah. So let's have a look. Let me have a look. I'm just jumping to those comments that are directly addressed to me. Did the microscopists of the 19th century use special instruments or techniques to make their drawings? Yes, I can actually tell you 2 techniques. Well, first of all, people at that time had a lot of patience, and I guess, yeah, but there is actually a technique that you can use, and you can even buy these devices in some microscopes nowadays. What you have is you, instead of connecting a camera, what you have is you have a tube going horizontally and projecting an image down on your table. It's like it's kind of projecting it downwards, and then you can actually trace it down on the table. Yeah, that's one technique. And the other technique that I read is that you actually draw using using both eyes. You look through the microscope with one eye, and with the other eye you look at the sheet of paper, and then kind of you get the overlap in your brain, and then you can trace it out. Yeah. So one eye microscope, other eye paper, and this is how you also get the proportions right. Because I think the important thing is just to get the first step is to get the proportions right, and then you can always fill in the details. So that's basically a technical solution would be to project it, and another solution would be to kind of look through one eye with microscope, other eye paper at the same time. So I just never tried this so much. There was one question. Can you please make some videos on how to do maintenance and calibration for Olympus and Nikon microscopes, since you own both of them? I only have Olympus. I don't have a Nikon microscope. Maintenance and calibration. I will tell you the following. I once tried to repair an Olympus microscope, a CHA microscope, or CHS, I think CHS, from the 1970s. And I wanted to take it apart, and I wanted to re-oil it, because all of the focusing knobs are already difficult to turn. I downloaded a manual, because they actually have instruction manuals on how to disassemble it and how to do maintenance. But it was so difficult. Really, all of the ball bearings and the tiny metal ball, it was so difficult that I actually had problems putting it back together again. It was incredibly complex, to my surprise, because I think what's so difficult about some focusing gears, but there were so many parts in there, and then I could not continue because I didn't have the tools. So this is still something that I also want to do a little bit, but I have to tell you that I'm a little bit worried that I will not be able to put it back together again. Yeah. So what I have therefore done with some of the microscopes is especially the an Olympus microscope that I had, is I actually sent it off to a service company, a certified microscope service company, and they basically completely cleaned it and completely the complete service came back almost as new, functionally as new, but it costed me around 300 euros. Yeah, so for that money, you can already get a a microscope from Amazon. Yeah. So there was another question. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's actually much easier this way. I got a printout of the questions here. Optical experiment. Yes. Polarizer. We talked about that. Biology course for amateurs. My request is, if you have any questions of what such a biology course would actually include, please contact me or send me an email. I would be very happy. So maybe this is going to be the second book project. First book project is the book that I'm working on right now is an introductory book to microscopy, and then maybe there will be a biology basics, non-trivial biology basics for adults. Okay. Yes, I talked about this. Drawings with AI. I could actually try to do that. Maybe upload the original. Maybe upload the image with the dots, and then ask AI to maybe use the same style. Okay, I've got Google Gemini. I will try that. That is the one. The question. I found a method online about diatoms. Have you tried using the heating method to remove organics from diatoms? If you could you demonstrate? The heating method works as follows. I've read about this. Is if you collect a fresh sample of diatoms, you have to, and if you want to make a nice permanent slide only of the diatom cell walls, made of silica, then you have to remove all of the organic substances. And possibility number one is you use hydrogen peroxide, which I tried a few weeks ago in one of the live streams. And the second possibility would be to use high temperature to burn away all of the organic material. Now, what I've heard, however, is if you use heat to burn away the organic material, then you have the possibility that there is still some residue left over, which might disturb it a little bit. So it is apparently not, you've got ashes, so to say, left over, inorganic material. So, and apparently this, maybe you can remove this as well by washing it and by centrifuging it. But I've heard that heating method, while it does work, apparently does not give you as clean of a specimen as hydrogen peroxide, apparently. Yeah. Because of the burned material that's still sticking on there. Yeah. It's even better on the camera where you can adjust the white balance. When you neutralize the color, the transparent objects can start to glow. That is basically referring back to the polarization. Yeah. Maintenance. The drawing I already answered. The instruments in the 19th century. So they used I think it's called a drawing tube. And so it's this horizontal extension from the microscope, and then it's kind of projecting downwards the picture. Okay. The shed skins. Do you think that the fanning of the bristles is a reflex, automatic, or more of a conscious action? I think it's a reflex. Those... if you say conscious action, that's an interesting question here. Then it refers to a little bit of self-awareness, and that there was kind of a judgment behind it. Okay, I'm being attacked, I have to fan the bristles. Insects and other animals like this are very much instinct-driven, and so this is most certainly a reflex. Okay. Can we try mounting one of the shed skins sometime and take a better look under the compound scope? Yes, we can do that. That's actually a good idea. You know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to save that for next week. If I don't forget, let's actually mount this using U-Pearl mounting medium. That would be actually quite a nice thing. Yeah. Are the dark hair and the bright hair different, or are they the same? Let's have a look again. I think I've seen different type of hair. Okay, because the hair here in front, they look very smooth, right? So they don't have these arrow-like shape. And that must be the head. It's interesting. It's even the eye is visible here. Yeah, so you see that those here are pretty straight, right? And then those bristles on the back side are much thinner and finer. You can actually see them a little bit also. Are they over here? Actually, they're all over the place over here already. Those fine lines that you see here. Yeah. These fine structures, yeah, these are those bristles. And maybe on the other one, maybe I can see. I think I have to go a little bit down with the magnification, otherwise it's too difficult to see that. By the way, I just want to, I've also experimented using the stereo microscope. Do you actually know, I don't know if you have a stereo microscope, how you can dramatically increase the depth of field? We're using a little trick. Yeah, what you do is you simply put some cardboard over the objective with a small hole. You basically are stepping down the aperture, making the aperture smaller. I mean, and then you also get a much larger depth of field. So you see those tiny little hair that you see, right? I cannot find the bristles on the back side again. Where were they? Yeah, I think here is head. They're basically now covered a little bit. Yeah, but those tiny hair that you see here, these are basically those bristles. Yeah, so they indeed seem to break off quite easily. Yeah. So let's have a look at the bottom here. A pinhole camera, yes. Essentially, that's what you're doing. I've used my 3D printer, and on the bottom of the, I don't know if you're able to see this here. I'm gonna turn this up. That's the ring lamp. Can we turning it off? No, you don't see it. In any case, there are the two objectives. They're about 1.5 centimeters in diameter. And what I've done is I've placed a cardboard. You can place cardboard, but I 3D printed something with a hole, which is much smaller. So I kind of, everything became darker, but the depth of field dramatically increased as well. So this is also a possibility that you might want to try out. So I'm going to turn the camera down again here. So there was another thing that I wanted to do. Can we sign up for your coming book? How old is Spiky? Let's do one thing after the other. I've got it. I don't know how old he is totally, he or she. I've got him since October. I found him crawling under my wall in my apartment and put it in the Petri dish. Can we sign up for your coming book? The book is I would say, the manuscript. The raw is, I would say, 80 to 90% finished actually. So I'll keep you informed when it's ready. But I still have to do the layout. I wanted to finish a couple of drawings, and and then I've been a little bit thinking on what it should contain and what it should not contain. So there's a fairly large section in the book on buying microscopes. I don't know if this is relevant for all of you, but I'm getting so many questions about which microscopes to buy. For this reason, I decided to give it a larger section there as well. Okay. So, and what I want to do now is I do want to. It's already. I don't want to do it too late, but I'm going to now do the following again. I'm going to look for where is it here? This is what I'm going to do now. It's a little bit dangerous. I'm going to start feeding it again. Okay, because I have not been feeding it now and because it eats the protein keratin, which is basically the same protein as on a fingernail. Here we go a little bit. Just shaving off a little bit here. And I need a toothpick. You can see it over here on the blade. The fingernail. And all of this stuff here, I'm going to drop in here. And in a few days, this will be gone. So I've been doing this now over the last couple of months. I've been doing this maybe about 3, 4, 5 times. And everything's been eaten up all the time. They will happily eat their hair too. Then that's a interesting point, because they won't, because they like to eat fur, and they own hair that seems to be made of chitin, which is a different material. So this is that's the thing. To eat an actual nail clipping, I don't know if it's not a little bit too big. So, but in any case, this one it has no problems eating. Human hair. Human hair. You know what? I have no idea. Where are my scissors? We try this out. Seriously. This is actually something, that's why we're doing this live stream here. I want to learn something as well. Yep. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to not add too many here. I'm just going to add, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 here. And let's 4 or 5. If I add too many, then I don't see if it's eating it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 6 here. Okay, let's see if. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this away. There is a question. Do you also have a recommendation for a stereo microscope? I do have a recommendation for a stereo microscope. I've got, as a matter of fact, 3 of them. And there is actually the one that I'm using right now. I'm quite happy with. I think it's not the cheapest though, but I just yeah, it is. It's from Euromax, and it's called Nexius. Nexius Zoom. And again, I like it a lot because I've seen with some stereo microscopes that also a cheap one that I bought many years ago over Amazon, they had the problem that the image quality on the folder tube was pretty bad. Right. So, and I've checked a little bit, and then I've seen that there was not all of the image was actually passed on to the folder tube. It was a little bit cut off. Right, and there was some light, stray light, and so on. But with this one or with the Nexus Zoom, I'm actually quite happy because it has a significantly better image quality on the on the folder tube. Yeah, so just saying. However, if you want to have a very cheap way to get a little bit of a stereo, not a stereo, some kind of a feeling like this. This is I bought this and I made we have looked at it. This is this microscope over here. Yeah, they're pretty cheap. Yeah, and basically they, while they do not provide a stereoscopic view, they also magnify in a similar way. And so you've got those USB scopes. Yeah, I've got mixed feelings about this specific model. I already talked about this, but there are plenty of those microscopes around, which can directly be connected to a computer, and then you can watch it on screen. Yeah. So this is actually something probably before buying, spending a lot of money on a microscope, I probably would try that first. Yeah. So I use a digital coin microscope, similar kind of, yes. Many industrial microscopes basically would work as well. Yeah, but of course, if you look through two eyepieces to get the stereoscopic view, that's of course quite a nice thing. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slowly call it a day again. I hope I answered all of the questions. Yeah, and yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to then write this down for next week, and let's put one of those basically molded skin of Spiky under the scope. Okay, so yeah, for me I don't. Okay. If you don't have stereo vision, so you can't use the eyepieces even in a standard scope. Okay, yeah. In this case, there is. Maybe also something. There is also a possibility to imitate a little bit, the stereoscopic view by making animated GIFs. Yeah. So yeah, this is for those of you who basically joined in late. A short summary. I started, and maybe it's not going to be the last time. I started to experiment a little bit with drawings. Okay. I'm trying to improve myself a little bit here. Also for book illustrations and so on. And I found out that the way of dotting it, actually making those stippling effects, as it's called, stippling effect, stippling, is actually easier than actually trying to draw it like this. Yeah, so it's something that you might also want to try out. Yeah, and I'm quite happy that this actually worked out as well as it did. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to say bye-bye. I wish you all the best. Hope that you liked the live stream. Like and subscribe as always. Most of you probably have already. And thank you for the recommendations on what to put under the microscope. I will basically write this down so that I won't forget until next week. And these are again the butterfly wings. Yeah, that's one of those scales. Let's put something more interesting under the scope. Yeah, and and bye bye. Happy microbe hunting as always, and hope to see you again next week. All the best.